This is Eitan Weinstein.
And I'm Naor Menninger, and you're listening to Two Nice Jewish Boys.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, cinco, seis.
Hello.
Hello. What's up?
Mazel tov, Eitan.
Thank you.
You are
Thank
a father.
More importantly, a homeowner.
Yeah, but we'll get to that.
But I also had a daughter.
Yeah. And her name is?
Brunhilde. No, I named her Daniela.
Mm-hmm.
I named her. No, I'm kidding. We decided on the name Daniela.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of came to us. No, we had a list. You have like a list ready of a couple of names.
Yeah, you ran some by me.
You run them by your friends. They tell you which ones sound like cheap strippers, and then you basically, by process of elimination, land on the cheapest of the stripper names. And that's how you go.
Yeah.
That's how you get it.
Yeah.
Now my daughter will forever have this episode to look back on and know why she was named Daniela.
Yeah.
No.
But she also has a second name.
Daniela, yes. We gave her a middle name, Daniela Esther. Daniela Esther Weinstein. Esther is my grandmother who passed away last February, so of 2021. And she was an amazing woman. Mm-hmm. She was an amazing woman. She made Aliyah from Morocco, in the 50s, basically slummed it.
She's the mom of your mom.
She's the mother of my mother. They slummed it in Shlomi, northern Israel,
the north of the north.
The north of the north. The floor of their home for the first couple of years was just mud. She has a story where she found a snake in my mom's cot, in my mom's baby cot. And then at that point, they decided to move out, buy a house. My grandfather was extremely hardworking. And they ended up building a home and raising 6 wonderful children, my mother being one of them. And she was just an amazing woman.
I thought all Moroccan Jews were...
We're chachchachim.
No, not chachchachim. We're facing with racism and couldn't succeed on their own. That's the narrative many sold us throughout the years.
My mother has always been very much opposed to just kind of like surrendering to those kind of ideologies, to those kind of ridiculous ideas that just it seems like the whole point of them is to get you down, right? It's like it seems like the whole point of that ideology is to tell you can't succeed.
Yeah.
And she refused to believe it. She went to the army, even though it was very much like against the tradition at that time for religious and traditional families.
But they were raised basically like being educated that they can achieve anything
Yeah, my grandfather was very hardworking. He worked in like construction, and he ended up and also in sanitation, and he ended up kind of progressing to levels of managerial positions. And he was like a people person, and they raised them as just normal people, like go out, work hard, study. Yeah, my mother went into university, which also wasn't very common in those years in Israel. She went to university, she studied, eventually got her PhD.
Not sure it wasn't common. I think it was more common than we'd like to think.
Yeah?
I think so. I think many did go, like many Mizrahi Moroccan Jews did go. We're talking about like the 80s.
The 80s, yeah.
I think many did go, but they're just like the silent majority, basically, I think.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I know going to the military wasn't very common back then for those kind of circles. But yeah, she was an amazing woman, so we decided to name my daughter.
I got to hang out with her.
Yeah, how
your
adorable
wedding.
is she?
No, I'm talking about your grandmother.
My grandmother.
Yeah.
How adorable was she?
Yeah. At your wedding,
Yeah.
I had a sit down with her. It was really nice. And yeah, I also came to your place and hanged with Daniela.
Yeah.
It was
We were
magical.
lucky. We were lucky to have her at the wedding because it
Yeah.
was about 7-8 months before she passed.
Yeah.
And we had it right on time, and she was there, and she danced with me on the dance floor.
Mm-hmm. Got drunk.
Yeah.
Flirted with the guys.
She flirted with Noor. I mean, who can withstand his amazing good looks? You know, it's just impossible.
I have an old soul. What can I say?
Yeah. So that's her name, Daniela Esther Weinstein.
Nice.
And we are just elated and tired as all fuck.
Yeah.
We have gotten like very little sleep.
Mm-hmm.
She's basically a poop, vomit, fart, and pee machine.
And sleep.
Sleep. Yeah. She needs to
Rest
gain
after,
energy in order to poop and pee more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a wild thing. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
And you bought a place.
And we bought a home right on time. It was like 6 days before she arrived. We signed on a place.
It's funny, guys, because prices, if you don't know, prices in Israel are rising in ridiculous rates. And the Israeli media, a small pack of journalists, economics journalists, have been running a campaign for years. But now it's even more, as the prices continue to rise, their campaign gets more and more intense, where they basically say it's all a bubble, and like people, it's the banks and the
oligarchs and the high-tech workers are basically raising
are to blame,
artificially raising the prices.
There are two narratives. So one narrative is to hate on the high-tech people who get salaries and buy apartments, and thus the prices go high. And there's the other narrative from the video that I sent you the other day, where basically Shaul Amsterdamski, the communist/socialist propaganda machine,
head of the economic desk
at the Israeli PBS, basically blames on the banks and the construction companies. They're at fault, and he says basically that people are taking these huge mortgages for apartments that we all know are not worth those prices. And all those economic journalists, air quotes, none of them have apartments.
Economic or the journalists or the whole thing?
Both.
The whole thing.
They are famously they never bought apartments.
Yeah.
And they're so frustrated for being
so bitter,
so stupid, so bitter, then they try to detain others and deter others from
watching those articles, those pieces. It's always like watching those fast food documentaries about how bad fast food is for you. All it makes you want to do is just go get some fast food.
Grab a burger.
I would always watch those pieces by Shaul Amsterdamski, and he's like economy, socialism, and all I hear is the prices are rising. I need to buy an apartment. And I finally did.
I always tweet like, what these journalists say, you should do the opposite.
Exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
He even released a video of him and his mother, which you shared, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
He sits down with to have a talk with his mom, and his mom is like, "What are you doing, you idiot? Why don't you buy an apartment?" I mean, she didn't actually have that accent, but she basically says like, you need to buy an apartment.
You're
it's the
failure.
best investment you can make here. And he was trying to convince her that. So even his mom, who I don't know what her like academic background is, but he's studied economics and whatever. Even his mom has the basic common sense of like, you need to buy an apartment.
But it wasn't easy for you guys, right? Like
No, it was really difficult. The market is really tough right now.
Explain to our listeners what it's like.
So the market in Israel is right now a seller's market. There's very little supply, a lot of demand, and the prices are very, very tough. So if you're a buyer going in, there's not a lot of apartments to choose from, and then when you do get into a negotiation, it's really tough for you to make any kind of stance, and so it took us a minute to get used to that too, right? Like you at the beginning you come in all assertive and confident, and you're like, no, I'm not, we'll offer 200,000 less than the asking price. We'll offer like 10% or
like
or
the average
15%.
Israeli who likes to haggle.
Yeah, exactly. And then you realize that the average Israeli is trying not so hard not to be a flyer, and they end up being a flyer, like Shaul Amsterdamski. And so slowly realize, like, okay, you can't do the 15%. You can't do the 10%. Like, the best you're going to do, and there was even an article on this in the news recently, that the average difference after negotiation right now in Israel is about 5%.
Yeah.
And we got about 3.5%, 4%.
Where did you buy? What did you buy?
We bought in Chulon, which is a suburb of Tel Aviv.
Mm-hmm.
Great area, great neighborhood. The whole, like, Chulon is known as the city of the kids, right? So it's like it's a great city for families.
For people who don't know where Chulon is,
it's like southeast of Tel Aviv, basically.
It has like a border
15
with
kilometers.
Tel Aviv.
Yeah. But this place is like 10 minutes 15 minutes drive from my place, and they're now building the light rail, which is going to connect the whole area
in 5 years or so.
Yeah, in about 5-6 years, this one is supposed to be done. I give it whatever 10, but still, it's going to influence the prices the closer it gets.
Yeah.
Right now, the red line is already basically going to start
this year.
This year. Which is already like hiked up the prices in Bat Yam like crazy. Mm-hmm. So the same thing is probably going to happen in Chulon. Great neighborhood, great area. There's parks all around.
Relatively new building, no?
No, I mean, yeah, like relative to Israel, because some buildings in Israel are from like the 50s and 60s. Yeah. But this building is from like the 80s, 90s. Mm-hmm. But it's not like, brand new. It's still pretty old.
And it's not like you're going to live there.
No, but it's a great investment. It's a great investment. And just, what's nice is the second you sign, that price that you're paying is signed on. And so every day that goes by right now, the whole prices are going up. Is for my benefit.
You hopped on the train.
I hopped on the train the second you signed that document. Mm-hmm. And so we're getting the apartment in 6 months or 8 months. But like I'm just, which is great. Right before Daniela showed up, right? Just like take that weight off of your chest, because you have to realize, guys, like every week at least 3 articles on like the main
Haaretz.
No, but like in the main news broadcast at like 8 p.m. is about the prices going up in Israel. They've gone up, I think, like 15-20% even this last year, in the last 12 months.
Depends where. Depends.
It was 13%, but it just keeps going up. And
the reason is that in Israel, if you don't know, the state
owns all the land. There's a monopoly on the land, and they do their best to not build buildings. And even when they do release some land for construction, for real estate, like moguls or whatever companies to build, even when they do that, the process for an entrepreneur in the real estate field to raise a building takes like on average of
7 years.
No,
6, 7, 8 years.
I remember it was a while ago. I remember 6-7 years ago I read it was 13 years.
So now it's
lower.
It's lower
because the average to actually build, the thing is, once they break ground, right, then and they start digging for the foundations, it takes them about 2 to 3 years to build it. Like 10 stories they can build in 2 to 3 years. And you see it happening all around Tel Aviv. The second a building comes down, I mean, Sharon and I were walking on Herzl like 2 years ago, and we filmed it. We saw the destruction of a building. Mm-hmm. And then, it was pre-COVID. So like we weren't outside at all, right? And then post-COVID, all of a sudden we took a walk and we saw the new building. And I was curious, so I looked back. And I found it was 2.5 years that had passed. So like it doesn't take a lot of time to actually build. It's the bureaucratic process leading up to breaking ground that takes sometimes 5, 6, 7 years.
Committees, it's a mess.
So it really deters a lot of contractors and entrepreneurs.
And the state won't release enough ground because the state is the greatest beneficiary from the rise of the prices because they tax the hell out of everyone.
Yeah.
And like I just did this research because I was arguing with someone which is higher, the tax on gas in Israel or the tax on real estate, because we also have now high gas prices because in Israel the taxes on gas are insane.
Crazy.
And can you guess?
I think you told me.
Yeah.
It's equal, right?
It's equal. So each one gives the state about 21 billion shekels a year.
Which is like very close to
$7 billion a
Yeah.
year in taxes. Like our whole budget a year is 400 billion, right?
Yeah.
So
Our defense budget is what, like 60. So it's like a third of the defense budget each.
yeah.
Together, 2/3.
But let's look at the state budget, 400 billion.
Together, it's
10%. 10% only from real estate and gas taxes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when the prices go up, because the
Aye.
taxes are percentages, so the higher the prices go, the more money the state makes.
Yeah, and then they yell at the government to lower the prices.
Yeah, they have
As if-
zero interest to
Exactly.
lower the prices. So everyone is on the party.
But they don't yell at the government. They yell at private industry, right? They
Yeah,
yell
of
at
course.
the construction
course.
companies, and they yell
Oh,
at
that's what's so
the
annoying
banks.
about those journalists.
Yeah.
They don't do videos about.
I think they just don't do their job. It's much easier to go with their ideology and their
Yeah.
agenda. And
It's
their agenda is
populism.
private industry is bad.
Yeah, banks.
Government and right social institutions are good. So
Mhm.
we already you're just going to confirm your ideology.
Yeah.
So they don't do the work of actually digging and thinking about what's actually causing the price hike. And it's really, this bureaucracy is really, if you think about it, it has a double pronged effect. One, it limits the amount of actual buildings that are getting built, right?
Yeah.
But it also like spikes the prices because there's less competition, because there are less contractors that are willing to get into the game.
It's not a free market.
Then I mean, yeah, it's a market with a couple of players,
And
I think
those who
couple is
succeed-
exaggerated, but still, you don't have a ton of players that are competing against each other and offering different.
To join the game is not about being the best builder or taking the risks. It's about knowing the
Cronyism.
right people.
Yeah.
It's about bribing the right people. It's about bribing the people who are good with bureaucracy. So it's not about merit at all.
Yeah. And you see it when you see the construction that's
Yeah.
happening around.
Then a porch
There
is falling apart or
Yeah,
whatever.
they just build buildings across from us, and the sidewalk is such, they call it here in Israel Arab work, but that's racist. You can't
Yeah.
say that. But the truth is, all the construction workers in Israel are Arab. So
Yeah.
anyway, they have like the sidewalk is just like it's like waves. I don't know. Maybe it's like a
Artistic.
design choice.
Yeah, you don't get the...
But it's like half the sidewalk is sunken in. It's just awful work. So you have these construction companies that have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Mazal
we have an
tov.
apartment, and I'm
Yofi.
happy.
Great. If
But
you're happy, our listeners are happy.
yeah, exactly. But we have some less happy news.
Yeah.
Yesterday there was
We celebrated Independence Day.
Yeah, well,
It was fun while it lasted.
yeah. The day before yesterday in the evening was the transition between Memorial Day and Independence Day, and then yesterday during the day was the day that everybody does barbecues and celebrates.
We had
and there's the
flights.
air show.
Yeah, the air show.
And there is a huge celebration for the 74th birthday of our wonderful, wonderful country.
Until
The sun set, and in Elad, which is a Haredi city municipality near Rosh Ha'ain, it's like about 10 kilometers east of Tel Aviv. There was a terror attack in which two terrorists, one with an axe and one with a knife, I think.
we don't know.
Started hacking away basically at innocent,
in a park.
bypassers.
People were having fun with the kids in the park.
Yeah. And 3 people were killed.
They were butchered by an
yeah.
axe, basically.
Yeah.
guys.
Which was one hell of a way to end the Independence Day celebrations.
So first of all,
Yeah.
the news broke, and immediately, here in Israel, the news channels are so careful not to call
if there's a hint of corruption in I don't know, Bibi, a story of corruption,
they prosecute
they'll
and judge
report it as fact. Before they even heard before someone even finished the sentence.
Yeah.
Like Bibi might have some corruption, and then boom, it's an article, prime time.
Yeah.
But this
here, they take their time. So they call it a violent incident in Elad.
Yeah, we're still looking into the details.
Yes, no official confirmation. And then they start to get reports of people being butchered with an axe. So they will report it, and they already knew there are dead people there. And guys, Elad is like a city. It's a Haredi city without any crime. Like it's a pretty small community.
Even when they knew it was with an axe, they were still
there was still we were not sure yet what it is, no confirmation, and just beating around the bush.
A violent event.
They just prolong as much as they can. They try to buy time.
Yeah.
Every minute where they can not admit, because they have a goal. Okay, they have one goal right now, which is to help Bennett. Bennett's government is falling. We get to that later. And the entire media is recruited to his cause. Yeah. And so every minute where they can put some doubts, shade the facts, anything they can do to help him on his narrative, they would do it.
Yeah.
So it took them forever, like 30 minutes or something, until they changed the headline on the live broadcast to a terror attack.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
And then we wonder why the world reports on terror attacks as gunmen or attack in Tel Aviv or whatever, right?
People found themselves on the path of an axe in Elad.
Yeah. We wonder why, but we report this way. I mean, it kind of has to do with the episode we just released the other day about our worst enemies being ourselves. It's just abysmal the way they report on this stuff. And then the way the Channel 2 News just kind of ignored it this morning and continued. Okay, look, if it was Independence Day today, I get it. I get not continuing on with not letting them destroy Independence Day and continuing on with the celebrations, and having the regular broadcast come back and whatever. But it's not Independence Day anymore. It's Friday. It's just a normal Friday. It's the day after Independence Day, and Channel 12 News has these broadcasts where people are dancing and singing as if nothing happened last night. While a lot of the other channels are showing they have these special broadcasts and they're talking about it.
Only 14.
Only 14. But it's crazy, and it really puts this contrast up where it seems like they're trying to ignore it.
Yeah. But even before that, the thing that there are those nuances that really, really piss me off. So immediately you start seeing there's this narrative. You immediately start seeing, and you really have to be watchful and alert.
Basically, all these tiny little things that are trying to excuse it as something that's not institutional or that's not cultural.
There's an agenda.
Yeah.
There's an agenda, but the way they are so smart about how they implement this agenda as news, as objective news. So immediately you have the news columnists or the news how would you call them, the reporters, the Arab specialists, the military specialists, immediately after a terror
Arab
attack.
Specialists, you know what it always reminds me of? That saying, אתה לא יכול לראות את היער מרוב העצים. You can't see the forest. You're seeing the trees. You're focusing in on the trees so much you can't see the forest.
Yeah.
That's
so?
because it's like they're so close up to the enemy, right? Like listening to Hamas spokespeople and learning Arabic. They're so close up that they forgot how to zoom out and see like who's on
Not
what
all
side.
of them. Like you have
But sorry, I interrupted you.
You have Tzvi Chizkeli, who is one of the top, and also Ehud Yaari, who are the top Arab specialists in Israeli
Of
media,
course,
and they are
generalization.
yeah. But you have the reporters who basically are so close to the military that they would automatically go live and just become the spokespeople of the military. So whatever narrative the military gives them, they quote like a parrot, basically. And usually, and nowadays, unfortunately, the narratives of the IDF are not narratives that aligned with the interests of the Israeli people. Okay?
Yeah.
Guys, I know I'm saying something very hard. It's hard to hear, and you won't hear it anywhere else. But here on this podcast, we tell you the truth and nothing but the truth. So I'll say it again. The narratives that the IDF conveyed to the Israeli public using his spokespeople who show up in the who are objective news people, but in reality they are so intertwined with the IDF that they have to say whatever the IDF tells them to say. Those narratives are not aligned with the interest of Israel because the IDF is deterred and they don't want to fight, they don't want to win, and they're afraid. And they forgot how to...
It's a sad truth.
And what it means in reality...
This isn't by the way... This isn't like a attack on the individual soldiers, right?
No, it's not. It's about the command.
Yeah.
It's about the command, not about the...
And not even the commanders.
Yeah,
right?
the high command.
It's about high command and about kind of the culture of the organization in general. There are a lot of brave soldiers who are doing everything that they can.
Who want to fight, who want to win.
There are a ton of soldiers who are, unfortunately dying for this country. And those people should be honored and remembered and given the due respect. But this is a criticism of I think a lot of the soldiers, exactly like you're saying,
they want to win.
They want to win. They're willing to die for the cause.
Yeah, but they won't get the order.
Yeah,
they don't get the charge order, basically. And
that's how you see for example, Baruch Shmueli was his name. What was his name? On the border of Gaza, who was basically there was a soldier.
Chadaria Shmueli.
No, Chadaria. Anyway, there was a soldier on the border of Gaza who there was just a group of people. A ton of Gazans.
Barael Chadaria Shmueli.
Barael, there we go. And he was up against the fence with a gun through one of the holes in the wall, but he didn't get an order to shoot anybody. And there was just a ton of Gazans up against the fence. One of them eventually ran up, stuck a pistol through the hole, and shot him right in the head.
Yeah,
and that's why you see that. I mean, any army in the world would have blown all of those people to bits.
Yeah.
I mean, they're right up against the fence. It's basically an enemy at your gate, literally barbarians at the gate. And you have a soldier there right up next to them, and you're not even giving him the order to shoot. You're not giving anybody the order to attack them.
Yeah. And what it means, like in yesterday's event, is that those news people, they came out to the broadcast, and the narrative they were told to implement in people's minds was that this terror attack, and basically all the other terror attacks we saw in the last month, are a result of inciting coming from Hamas in Gaza. Okay, now what you need to realize, guys, all the terror attacks in the past month were committed by Arab, Palestinians, whatever, from the territories, from the Palestinian Authority territories, okay? And it's very convenient for the IDF and for the entire leadership of the government of Israel to say that they were like lost minds who got drowned by propaganda for Hamas. Instead of facing the fact that A, they all came from the Palestinian Authority territories. Okay? I mean, Hamas can broadcast whatever the hell they want, but in the end of the day, people from Gaza can't do shit. They can fire rockets, but they can't go out of Gaza and commit terror attacks. The only people who can do that are Palestinian Authority residents, and those are young people. Most of them are like 20, and they derive from the Palestinian Authority educational system, which educates. It's a Nazi system.
Yeah.
It's a Nazi system which educates their children to hate Jews. And all those young people, young terrorists, are they're not Hamas's responsibility. They are in the Mahmoud Abbas territory under his leadership, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And
It's all the same shit, man.
yeah, but
You know what I mean? Like, this is also another thing that I get what you're saying. I get
wait.
No, but I get it. What you're saying is they're trying to drive this narrative that
Towards
these are
Gaza.
lone wolves. It's all Gaza. It's Hamas.
yes, because they
the
don't
PA
want
is actually a partner for peace,
and they don't want to do
Yeah.
a military operation in the
In the West
territories.
Bank.
Yes.
But yeah, exactly, and I agree. I
That's-
agree with
yeah.
it. But really, it's all the same shit. They're all okay. I'm at risk of making a huge generalization, which I know we're gonna get. But I'm saying they're all, as in Palestinian. This is a generalization. I'm sure there are Palestinians that are peace-loving people, but they're the weirdos. Okay, if you're a peace-loving Palestinian who's like, hey guys, maybe we should like make peace with the Jews and like,
Boom.
establish a
Knife to the throat.
they're like, what is wrong with you, you weirdo? Right? You're like,
no, they're
and then or
then
they murder
knife
you,
to the-
or they murder you.
Yeah.
You're a weirdo if you like peace in the Palestinian territories, in Gaza or in the West Bank or Judea and Samaria. They're all the same. This whole difference between Hamas and like there's nuances. Like, who gives a shit? They're murderous idiots. They're a bunch of murderous idiots. They're growing up in a horrible system that praises death and war and blood and is thirsty for blood, is thirsty for Jewish blood. They hate life. They love death. Who cares if it's Hamas or the Palestinian
But-
Authority? They're a shit culture.
Yeah, but from a strategic military point of view, one group is
If we can make one of them against the other, then great.
Wait.
Yeah.
One group is secluded behind walls in Gaza,
Yeah.
and we don't need to deal with them unless they shoot rockets at us, and then we always have the option to retaliate against them. That's a very black and white, easy situation. On the other hand, the Arabs in Judea and Samaria are A, coming and going freely inside our land. We don't control the borders. Sometimes there are no borders. They are deeply intertwined with our population, and there are no walls, no borders. Even now, guys, like, you need to realize they said before this terror attack, they said they're gonna put curfew on the territories, right? Or like a military curfew on all the Palestinian cities for the holidays because they knew there's a chance for a terror attack. And even when there was a quote unquote curfew or lockdown, still it's worthless because those terrorists were able to get out of one of the villages. So it's meaningless. We can't really implement a curfew, and we're stuck deeply intertwined with them. They come to our, like as Eitan said earlier in the episode, they build all the skyscrapers in Tel Aviv. Those are basically illegal.
Yeah, which I don't understand. We should shut that whole program down.
I
don't
agree.
Why not bring 10,000 Chinese?
Yeah, I am with you. I'm with you.
We do it anyway. We have I think a couple of thousand Chinese, if not more. I think 10,000 Chinese. People here working on the light rail and like different construction projects here in Israel. Why not do?
Yeah, we should
double it tomorrow. Bring in a bunch and just cut off the Palestinians from Israeli society. Fuck them. Seriously, I don't get it. But Israel, we're just ballless. It's like someone's taken our balls and just sliced off our ball sack. Like, we have no balls.
That's a metaphor, guys.
0 testicles. No, it's not even a metaphor. We had these huge testicles attached to Israel, right? And someone literally cut them off. Maybe it was Sinai. Maybe Sinai is our ball sack, and we just cut it off. We did it ourselves.
PG-13.
We're like, here, take our ball sack. It's so upsetting. Man.
What would you?
This is what I like about Kedar's Emirati plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though it seems so impractical, it's what you were saying. One's behind a wall, and divide and conquer.
Yeah.
The Romans did it, and they were smart. Why not? Why separating them into their clans as they are?
Build huge walls behind.
Make it very, very difficult for them to leave their pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever they live, that's their land. You clan, you get your land. Okay, you want statehood, you want citizenship. That's yours. You have it. You don't want to be part of the Jewish state because you hate Jews and you want to murder us. Fine, have your little bit of land. This is you. Do what you will with it. You fuck up, we'll fuck you up, and just do that for all 10, 15 different tribes in Judea and Samaria. Because as Kedar, I really advise you guys to go listen to it. He basically explains that the West Bank is divided up into these different families, and that's how the Palestinian culture is. And then you can divide it up.
When a terror attack comes from one of those cities, like now, you see we don't have the leadership nor the will of the military to do anything. They don't want to do anything.
Yeah. They get chased out of these towns. There's always these TikTok videos of the soldiers getting chased out.
Yeah. They don't want to do anything.
Instead of just dropping carpet bombs on Jenin.
And now, on their Ramadan, we let hundreds of thousands of non-citizens to go to Temple Mount. Why do we let them in? Why do we let hostile
And then when someone raises an Israeli flag, an Israeli police officer chases them down and rips the flag out of their hand.
Guys, you got to realize this. I don't think people understand what happened in this Ramadan. What happens every Ramadan? What happens every Ramadan is we let the exact same non-citizens, okay? Those are Palestinian Arabs who are not citizens of Israel, who live in Ramallah, in Nablus, in all those cities where those terror attacks come from. We let them inside our borders, right? Without any monitoring, because you can't really monitor hundreds of thousands of people. We just rely on them coming back to their homes in the end of the day, basically. We let them go so that they can pray in Temple Mount. Why? Because if we won't let them, they'll get really angry and there'll be an intifada, basically.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And that narrative is one of the worst. The idea that if we, for example, allow Jewish prayer on the Temple Mount,
they'll get pissed.
that is us causing terrorism, right? It is us igniting. Every year, about a month ago, there was Jerusalem Day, and every year there is the flag parade in Jerusalem.
Jerusalem Day is in several weeks, actually, but
several weeks ago.
Ahead. It wasn't Jerusalem Day. Then.
Sorry, it wasn't. It's the day of independence of Jerusalem. It's the day that Jerusalem was conquered in the 6-Day War, I think.
That's Jerusalem Day, and it's in several. Never mind.
Anyway, there's
the reason? They did
a flag parade
Yeah. We don't need
You
a
don't have a good
reason.
record of correcting me.
No, yeah, I know. Although I cut that part from that
You
episode.
cut it?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I see. You edit out the parts where you make mistakes.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a flag parade where the whole idea is to march on throughout the streets of Jerusalem, which is the capital of the Jewish country, Israel, in case anybody forgot. And it's not Tel Aviv, guys. A lot of people forget that. It's not Tel Aviv. Jerusalem is our capital. Israel, Jerusalem, capital, flags. Flag of your country. It's like walking down Washington, D.C., down whatever street in Washington, D.C., with an American flag. That, in Israel, is considered inciting violence.
Yeah.
That is the mainstream narrative in
might
Israeli
piss off
news.
the Arabs. Basically, anything we do is about whether or not we might piss off the Arabs.
Yeah.
You gotta be careful, not like when Lapid went to stroll in the old city. You know, when Bibi or whoever goes to stroll in the old Ben Gvir. No, that might piss off the Arabs. You might.
Till today, they blame Ariel Sharon for going up to the Temple Mount in October for the second Intifada.
Yeah.
The awful, awful Intifada from 2001.
Yeah.
They still blame Ariel Sharon for igniting that shit. Like, you spineless, ballless pieces of weasel shit. What the fuck? Like, where are the men? Where are people who actually have a backbone and are willing to stand up for what is theirs? Like, it's like we've all lost sight of dignity, respect, honor, manhood. Yeah, manhood. Not the pregnant man emoji. You might get it mixed up with that. That's not manhood. Not getting pregnant and having a mustache somehow. But actually being a man and protecting, like, what's yours.
There are some pretty good women soldiers in the IDF.
Of course. And this is nothing, you know. My younger sister was in Karakal. She was a warrior, right? Like a fighting.
And in
But-
Magav, loads
and in
of
Magav,
women.
there's tons. There's that great video of that Magavniki, like, beating the shit out of that guy who's trying to cause shit in Jerusalem. You know, you didn't see that? Anyway, I'll send it to you afterwards. But in the end of the day, it's manhood, okay? I mean, I get it, but there's a reason that 99% of the people who go to war and die in wars are men and not women. Because if you had an army of women fighting an army of men, it probably wouldn't end well for the women. I know,
Unless they have nukes.
unless they have nukes, exactly. But I know that's not going to sound, you know, we're going to get a lot of shit for that. But that's what all of this is about in my eyes in the end. It's about it's this whole leftist bullshit of forgetting what it is to be a man and to stand up for what's yours. That sounds primitive.
Maybe if we had a woman,
But yeah.
right-wing woman prime minister, she would have more balls, quote unquote, than.
Then Naftali Bennett for sure. But I don't know. I'm not too hopeful. It's infuriating. It's infuriating. And, you know, you sent me the tweet. There is a sentiment in Israel of people. I think there's this sentiment boiling up in people. In the majority of Israelis, I think, agree with what I'm saying, which is what's so weird. I think it's just that we don't have a strong enough majority. I think that the majority of Israelis that are right and that agree
Jewish Israelis.
are the majority of the Jewish Israelis, and are not a strong enough majority of the Jewish Israelis. So it's like 55-60% of the Jews, which ends up being like 45 to 50%. And then you end up always in this political stalemate. But yeah, and so you're screwed. But I think most Israeli Jews really agree with the fact that we should be fucking them up. Like, stop with this bullshit. But, you know, you sent me the tweet of the guy who said, you know, which somehow is controversial, that this guy who murdered these 3 Haredim with an axe, even if he comes out of his home with a white flag raised in surrender, he should get a bullet right in between his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think a lot of Israelis would agree with.
Yeah.
Most Jewish Israelis, again, would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kill the motherfucker. But that is an awful thing to say, right? It's an awful thing to suggest that our
unhumane.
enemy who murdered 3 of our citizens should die promptly upon discovery. Like, why is that? Why is that controversial? Not only he should die, but a large portion of his village should die. Now we're not going on YouTube.
Only one way to find out.
It's war. Like, just fucking bomb them. Seriously, make them like it's the whole like the unproportional response kills me. Right? No, that's the whole point. You're supposed to be unproportional. That's like the first thing. Like in prison, right? All the prison movies. I've never been to prison. I'm not really sure if this is true, but they're like, pick the biggest guy and like just go fucking insane, right?
Yeah.
And that's people shouldn't know what to expect from you. So they kill 3 people, you raise Jenin to the ground. Like just completely destroy it. I guarantee you no one is going to pick up a knife for at least 20 years. Just raise it. No mercy. What is it? What do you like? What was the Elon tweet? Elon, what do you like best in life? It was the reference to I gotta find the script right now.
We will be right back with you when Ethan finds the script. What Elon said. What did Elon say?
It was a tweet. No, I'll find it later.
Okay.
Whatever. What do you like best in life? To hear my enemies dying and their women and children lamenting or something like that?
Didn't see that one.
Anyway, whatever. It's a reference to a movie. Fucking A, man. Yeah, it pisses me off. I mean, you don't realize that it gets to you because it really does. You
get used to it.
You get used to it, but it also, you forget the fact that it hits home. Right? Because it really does affect, like you guys don't realize this in the States, but imagine in your city, right? Because a lot of the cities in the States are about the size of Israel's population. You know, New York is what, 15 million, I think, or 8 million, but it grows to 15 million with all the commuters. Like Atlanta's like a couple of million, 2-3 million. So like Israel is like a couple of big cities. So imagine in your city/metropolitan area, there were these attacks against the people of your type, right? Like it wasn't gang violence where you're not so worried because it's gangs against gangs and it's in bad neighborhoods. It was people coming to your neighborhoods because you're you, right? Something about you, whether it's whatever, you're Asian, you're white, you're Jewish, you're black, whatever. And they're coming to your neighborhood and they're searching out for people like you and they're stabbing them to death. In your city, not in the United States of 325 million people.
Yeah, it happened. It could happen any place, anytime, and it makes your life here unbearable. Basically, today I was strolling in Rothschild.
Yeah,
and a day after a terror attack, when you stroll in the streets, it's hard to explain this feeling. Like you always look behind your shoulders. You have
a couple of moments. You inevitably forget about it because it's Israel, and that's like what's unique about being Israeli, right?
You forget and you don't forget. It's always on the back of your head.
Yeah.
You're always alert. You're always like looking for. It's like post-traumatic. You always look for you sit in a cafe. You're like a CIA agent. You sit in a cafe. Your first thing you do is looking for escape routes.
And you're scanning every face around you.
Scanning
looking
every
for
face.
People who look suspicious, who are alone.
Yeah. This is what living under terror actually means.
Yeah, we had that exactly today too. We went out to get a bite to eat and we're looking over our shoulders.
Yeah.
It's
unbearable and unforgivable. And
what
they should be, and they should be the ones who live like that, not us.
Yeah, but they're not. They're not. They should be so like regretful right now that they ever told a kid to hate Jews. Right? That's what they should be doing right now, lamenting the fact that they ever thought to ever tell anybody that we should attack the Jews, because they should just be suffering so indescribably much. But nobody here has the balls to do that. And it's like fucking collective punishment. Yeah, it's collective punishment because
There are enemies.
it's not a
enemies.
citizen.
It's war. It's war,
fucking
and
war.
there are enemies. But then the
Aye.
world would, if we actually did that, we'd be isolated like Russia. We'd have sanctions.
I don't think, but Russia's not suffering, man. They basically have Ukraine. They basically have Ukraine. No one gives a shit anymore.
No, but there are sanctions.
There's sanctions, Sababa.
Yeah, our economy would suffer.
I don't think it would suffer that much. I don't think it would suffer that much. I mean, how much can people do without Israeli tech? Like, if we didn't have such a competitive edge in the markets that we have an edge in, then maybe, right?
I don't know.
Because what is Russia?
No, but
What is Russia
rely...
exporting? Gas.
Yeah, but
and they're exporting gas, and it took forever for the Germans to sanction them, right? And they still haven't
yeah,
totally.
But Russia doesn't need like food from the West, for example. We need food. We rely on importing everything. We can't self-maintain ourselves.
Yeah, but I don't think the entire world. I don't think America would shut us out.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I
Let's
don't
find
know,
out. There's only one way to find out. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that people would look on that type of assertiveness with disdain. Maybe someone would be like, "Fine, a fucking Lee."
I don't
Who
know.
knows? Anyway,
Guys, let us know what you think.
yeah.
Hit us up. What else is there?
What else?
Abortions.
Abortion. Nice little transition.
Yes.
So as most
I was
of
lynched
you,
on Twitter.
yeah, were you?
Yeah, for saying like an Israeli girl was writing, "Oh, this verdict, it makes me want to go and protest against the U.S. Supreme Court." And like she's just an Israeli girl, but and I commented, you know what's the beautiful thing is that you actually don't need to do that, because that's the beauty about the American system, that now you would still have states that allow abortions and you have states that don't allow abortions, and everyone can choose where they want to live. And I wish in Israel we had the same system. Here in Israel we don't have a choice, basically. And
That's
it's
that's
a committee
great about a
of
federal
rabbis.
system.
You need to lie to the rabbis here. Tell them you betrayed on your husband if you want to get like approval for an abortion.
And on the other hand, you can get an abortion really late in the game.
Yeah, but you
Like
still need to go like
30
this
weeks, 35 weeks. You can still get an
archaic
abortion.
committee of rabbis.
Yeah, we'd probably live in different areas if there was
Yeah,
the states. But that's what's great, right? Is that you can live wherever you want.
and I was lynched for that tweet.
Yeah.
What like?
Well, let's give some context first.
Yeah,
Roe
who doesn't
versus
know?
Wade. But you'd be surprised because I think a lot of our listeners might have some misconceptions about
Okay.
what Roe v. Wade does
Okay.
and what it means.
Okay.
I think most people in the States think Roe v. Wade is some kind of like abortion
Law.
is legal thing, and now if it goes away, abortion is illegal all of a sudden, all over the States.
Okay.
But they don't realize that Roe v. Wade is a Supreme Court decision to federalize abortion access. And once it's overturned, then like basically what Roe v. Wade does is it makes it a basic a citizen right to have access to abortion. So abortions have to be accessible everywhere and legal everywhere, right?
Who were Rowan?
I don't know. It
Okay.
was Roe. She was a woman, Roe. I think it was Jane Roe, but it was like a pseudonym. Her name wasn't actually. It was like
Okay.
Norma something. But it was in the 70s,
70s.
early 70s. She was pregnant, and I can't remember what the story was there. But it went up to the Supreme Court, and they made it so that it is abortion is basically a right for American citizens. And what this is doing, here's the Politico article. Sorry to have to read from Politico, but whatever. The Supreme Court has voted to strike down the landmark Roe v. Wade decision, according to an initial draft majority opinion written by Justice Samuel Alito, circulated inside the court and obtained by Politico. The draft opinion is a full-throated, unflinching repudiation of the 1973 decision, which guaranteed federal constitutional protections of abortion rights in a subsequent 1992 decision. So basically, what it did is it gave protection of abortion rights. And taking this away means it goes back to the states. It makes it more of a democratic issue. Basically, the Supreme Court in 1973 said this isn't an issue that the voter has the right to weigh in on. Nobody can vote on this. This is a basic right. Nobody can say otherwise. You guys don't have the ability, and you have to realize this is what Supreme Courts do. The Supreme Court is anti-democratic. It says, we decide something. We don't care what the voter has to say. This is the right thing, right? So that's what they did with Roe v. Wade. And now they're saying, no, we're going to make it more democratic. We never had the right to do that in 1973, to tell you guys what's right and what's wrong. It's up to you, right? It's the more mature, more democratic approach. The Supreme Court is saying we never should have done that. You now decide what's right, voters of each state. Vote on what you want. And so you'll have liberal states like California where abortion will be legal till, right, the third trimester and beyond. And you'll have states like Alabama where it never will be legal from conception. And you'll have states in the middle. And you'll have a beautiful rainbow, right? Just like the LGBTQ plus
Look, to me,
community loves.
Like from arguing with feminists, I think that the biggest mistake feminists and leftists do here is that they make it a discussion about a woman's right on their body, where the discussion should be about what is life and when does it actually begin. I think it would be wiser for the feminists to make this argument, to argue about this, because I think this is what's the discussion should be about. It should be about when does life begin.
But if life doesn't start at conception and starts when the baby is born, then it is a discussion about, they're trying to take the right. So if life doesn't start until the baby is born, then it's a matter of their right over their own body. I don't have a life in it.
Exactly, but this is why this should be the discussion.
But what you're suggesting to them is to give ground, is to like go towards where the Republicans or the conservatives are trying to have an argument about where life starts, and the women are like, not the women, the feminists, the pro-abortion people are like, don't talk to me about life and no life. This is my body.
Exactly.
Right? You can't even
it's
approach.
An absurd approach, because if I manage, like, let's say you're a feminist, okay, and let's say I prove to you scientifically, I prove to you that life begins in the second trimester, okay, I show you all proof for that, okay, then if I proved it beyond any doubt, then yes, you have a right on your body, but there's another life form inside your body, so you can't just ignore it. This fact that you have a living being inside your body, and you are responsible.
Again, speaking hypothetically, like had you proven that life exists in your body,
then this argument of I have a right on my body would be futile. Because there's you have a right.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So to me, this should be the discussion. And now let's discuss, when does life begin? So some people, on Twitter and even Ayn Rand followers, like extreme libertarians, who say basically life begins at birth, and people like Ben Shapiro say like life begins at conception. And I don't have an opinion. I don't know.
I think most Americans and most people probably are
heartbeat, or
I don't know if call it heartbeat. I think it's most people are like, don't talk to me about restricting my ability to have an abortion in the first couple of weeks, trimester, right, up to 10 weeks, 15 weeks, right, and they're uncomfortable talking about abortions in the third trimester, right? Like
We're not talking about
30 to 40
health. We're putting aside health issues. Like if, right?
or extreme cases which feminists love to bring up, like what if your brother raped you? It's
Guys,
like, okay,
Google it.
yeah,
Statistics.
sababa, so that
No, but I actually Googled this, and less than 1% of abortions are because of rape or incest. Less than
Yeah.
1%, like 0.5% or something.
Yeah.
So it's
so
really
and I always suggest, like, concede that point. Say, okay, listen, if I'm willing to say that in the cases of rape and incest, we need to have a case-by-case basis and think about, more lenient laws around those things. If I see that, okay, then can we talk about the other 99.5 cases of abortion? The problem there is that if you're making the life argument, that it's kind of problematic to your argument to suggest that even in the case, meaning if you're saying the whole problem is to basically end a life, then it doesn't matter what the cause of creating that life was, even if it was the most horrific thing you can imagine, incestual rape, then it's that thing is not at fault for the thing that created it. It's like, I mean, after the baby of the incestual rape is born, are you allowed to end its life because it was the product of an incestual rape? No.
But
So-
that's why it makes it a good argument to be had.
The life.
The life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, what do you think?
I don't know. I'm not educated enough about the cycle of an embryo to have a strong opinion. I don't think I basically don't I'm not greatly opposed to abortion at the first stages. And then later on I think it's more problematic. Like the more living being it is, I think it's more problematic. But I can't put my finger on exactly. But I think it's a good discussion to be had, and I'd love to see a committee of like scientists and doctors and biologists and people who would come together and decide, and maybe with I don't know how.
Yeah, but I think that's what's so great about the American system, and that's why this isn't so much what the Supreme Court is doing. Isn't so much about abortion. It's about democracy.
It's a good compromise to me to
It's not
leave
a
it to the
compromise. There's the whole idea of a federal
it's a compromise
system.
between-
No, but the whole idea of a federal system is we should only federalize things
what's in consensus.
that have wide-reaching consensus, and abortion is like right down the middle. Most Americans are uncomfortable with this, with first trimester restrictions, and uncomfortable with third trimester abortions.
So the middle ground is to
a big portion are anti-abortion, and a big portion are pro-abortion.
Yep.
So there's not a wide-reaching consensus.
Mm-hmm.
Let it go to the states and choose your state.
Yeah, I think.
And
it is
also,
good,
it's like, it doesn't make any sense, Bekitsul. In short, the outrage about it is just it's more of that virtue signaling bullshit. You know what I mean?
yeah. And to me, the moment you can't say anything, they shut you up. Like,
Yeah.
you've never had, like, you're a man. You're not allowed to,
Yeah.
like, you can't.
Which is, it's just ridiculous, because it's like you want to control a woman's body, or the vaccine argument, right? I expect all the people who were like, all the men who were like, my body, my rights, when it was COVID vaccines, to come and say, stand up for the pro-choice advocates at the Supreme Court or whatever. It's like, oh my God, you really can't tell the difference? The argument is that it's a life, that you're killing a life. Anyway, it's just so stupid. But and also the fact that I think most people that are bothered by abortions are bothered by the fact, genuinely bothered by the fact. They're not moved by some kind of like desire to own women's uteruses, right? Which is like how it's framed in the media. or in the left. It's genuinely from a place that's uncomfortable with what they believe is murder.
Yeah.
Louis C.K. has that great sketch, right? Where he's like, come on, guys. Like, you can't understand them. Like, they think it's murder. They think you're murdering a baby. Like, what do you expect them to do? Like, oh, they're murdering a baby? Oh, okay, cool. Whatever. No problem. Like, no, if you think it's baby murder, you're going to be pretty up in arms about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got an email.
Yes.
From Saul.
Saul wrote to us. We just recorded an episode I just mentioned, right? You want to read it?
No, you read it.
We just recorded an episode with Lilach Sigan about the New York Times anti-Israel bias. And we kind of had some harsh words about American Jewry, especially like American Jewry mostly basically about American Jewry that are non-supportive of Israel. So Saul wrote to us, was listening to the podcast New York Times episode. First of all, I want to say, guys, thank you, Saul, for writing to us, and anybody who wants to write to us, whether it's in support or in criticism, please try and keep it respectful, but we love a good threat. We love a good hate mail. But honestly, if you write respectfully, we love getting mail from you guys. And this was really respectful and nice. So thank you, Saul. He wrote, was listening to the podcast New York Times episode. Just wanted to say that the Jews in the U.S. are generally Zionists. There is a minority that are anti-Zionists and some number in between of people who are uninvolved or don't want to speak up about it for fear of social retribution. You guys made it sound way worse than it is. 67, then he gives us some stats. 67% of adults in Jews in the U.S., 18 plus, feel somewhat or very attached to Israel. 74% follow news about Israel. 66% feel we have a lot in common with Israel. 54% strongly oppose BDS, and 60% say Israel is an essential part of being Jewish. Most Jews are aware of the anti-Jewish bias in media. He writes, Jews in college campuses are fighting a constant anti-Semitism and generally stand strong against anti-Zionist, BDS, and the like. Of course, there's a bunch of Jewish anti-Zionists, though generally it is due to being completely misinformed. He gave us the source from Pew Research. Don't abandon us just yet, Achi, he wrote, and he signed it off. Much love from the U.S. side of the family. Cheers, Saul. So first of all, we're not abandoning you. We love you too, Saul. Much love. You are our brother, and I thought I had said this. I think I had the most harsh words against the Jewish Americans, which is why you're sitting back and you're like, I thought I had made it clear, but I'm all for Jews who are supportive of Israel in the United States, and I don't think we should turn our back on them or anything like that. My main point was just that I don't believe we should be investing so much time, money, and effort in trying to win back anti-Zionist Jews or care about anti-Zionist Jews. I think you don't give it as much credit. It's nice that, this is a lot of words, basically what you're saying. Strongly oppose, say Israel is an essential part, feel we have a lot in common, follow news about Israel. These are a lot of words and thoughts. But when it comes down to it, most Jews in America vote Democrat. And I think that that's a big, basically slap in the face to Israel, especially nowadays when you have members of the Democratic Party like Ilhan Omar and, Rashida Tlaib and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are no big friends of Israel. I mean, they still walk the walk and talk the talk, but they don't really
act.
They don't really walk the walk, actually. So, and I think it really is a big slap, especially since Obama. I mean, he was just so, unsupportive of Israel. He ended his tenure as president with a huge slap in the face with that UN stunt.
Signed the deal with Iran. Which was obviously just ridiculous. And Joe Biden is racing back to that deal, racing back to the table. So I think that is and now I get it. I get that, you might be on the left side of things and you might believe in social welfare and your economic views might be on the left side of
the political aisle and so on and so forth. So it's a lot to ask of you to put all of your politics aside and vote Republican just for Israel. But that's why I don't think that Jews have a future in the United States, because you shouldn't be forced to put your Judaism against your politics. You should live in a place where the Jewish part is a given.
Mm-hmm.
And now you just vote on politics. So I'm not abandoning you. I love you, man. I just think you should move here and build a beautiful Jewish family with, Saul the first, Saul the second, Saul the third. Have all the little Sauls and Saulettes running around, and we'll build a happy, big Jewish home here.
And I wanted to talk about our interview that we did for the Daily Lie podcast, where I said about the Gazans that they live like dogs. And some people close to me were like, why are you so blunt? Like, why would you say such blunt words? And just to clarify why I said it, I didn't say that they are dogs. Okay?
Yeah.
No, they live like dogs. The reason I said they live in Gaza like dogs is because it's just a fact. Like, they have no electricity, no running water, no food,
no sewage.
Like, sewage is running down the street. They live like a third world country. Yeah. Not because they don't have resources, but because they elected Hamas to lead them, and they let Hamas run this piece of municipality or whatever. And the fact is, they live in subhumane conditions.
Yeah, but honestly, dogs don't live that disgustingly. So it's not really
okay.
An
So I take
statement.
it back.
No, that's true. Wild dogs, right? They don't live like that. And domesticated dogs definitely don't live like that. So it's not quite accurate.
Okay, I take it back. They
live like rats, like sewage rats. Is that where you wanted this to go?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Eitan.
I said like.
Yeah. No, but you see my point. Like, I
have no qualms with saying those kind of things about these people. I honestly don't. I get it. Like uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable talking about people like animals, but these people express horrific ideas and desires, and they support deeds that are horrific, and a lot of them commit deeds that are horrific, and they do live very in, like you're saying, subhumane standards. Yeah, it's disgusting. They're. Oh, Google's weighing in. I guess we have some hate speech going on here.
The Big Brother is listening.
They have disgusting actions. They have disgusting thoughts, and their living conditions are a lot of the times very disgusting. So I have no qualms saying that it's like dogs or like sewage rats or whatever. It's a hyperbole, but it's fairly accurate.
Yeah, and I encourage you guys to Google life conditions in Gaza and see for yourselves, judge for yourselves, because people just look how they live.
Yeah,
and they are willing to live like that, only for the false dream of one day,
hopefully having their son murder a Jew.
Yeah, or conquering.
That would be the dream.
Yeah, but I'm saying even bigger, like the dream to realize the dream of conquering the entire land.
Yeah, but still, if they conquered the entire land, Fatima would still be very, very happy if her son Muhammad blew himself up on a subway in Amsterdam.
No, in Amsterdam,
and
maybe.
Became a shaheed for the wider Muslim cause of conquering the world.
But
she would be extremely happy.
It's a far reach. I'm talking about day-to-day close. I'm talking about tomorrow or the near future, not the so distant future. So basically, yeah. So they are willing to sacrifice everything, living like in those horrific conditions, which none of us would ever live, in order to not give up the dream of killing us all.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's a pretty shitty It's what did a wise
What's
man
that
once say?
Shakespeare quote?
What did that wise man once say? It's a shithole country. Yeah, it is.
Okay, guys. Hopefully we didn't depress you too
Yeah,
much.
hopefully we don't get kicked off of all of the platforms we're on.
Yeah.
Instagram, Spotify, Facebook, YouTube.
You can always find us
We
on
hope
OnlyFans.
you guys love free speech and the tenets of free Western democracies and Western civilizations more than you, I don't know, are intolerant of other opinions.
Yeah.
We hope that you guys can hear other ideas enough to leave us on.
And not unsubscribe.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for listening. And if you like us, please donate to njb.com/donate.
Yes.
We'd
Yes,
really
yes,
appreciate it. Also, Eitan has a new mouth to feed right
Yeah,
now.
so we really need it.
So basically,
we just ran out of baby formula. So
Yeah,
basically, she's not going to eat until you guys donate to 2NJB.
everything you have.
Yeah, everything you. I mean, you know, the more the merrier. She'll have an extra meal.
Yeah,
Daniela's food intake is based right now.
it's in your hands.
It's
Her
in your
fate
hands.
is in your hands.
Absolutely.
Guys. Yeah, man.
Yeah, guys. Thank you for
Bye.
tuning in. Bye.